Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Today is January 15th, and we're having another bi-weekly SIG CLI meeting. My name is Machi, I'll be your host today. Our agenda is packed. I linked it in the chat, so please add your name to the attendees part if you're not there yet. Let me kick off with quick announcements. So first of all, the Kubernetes Contributor Experience Survey is still open. If you haven't got a chance to respond to that survey, there's a link in the agenda to the email that was sent out earlier to the Kubernetes dev mailing list. Make sure to respond. This basically shapes how the developer tooling is being built around the Kubernetes project. So you have an influence on what you like, what you don't like about the entire workflows, what can be improved, what works well, what does not work that well. So make sure to spend about 5 to 10 minutes, if I remember correctly, and fill in the survey. If I remember correctly, that deadline was extended till the end of this week. Another important session announcement is we will be applying for a 6th session at KubeCon EU in Amsterdam. Although they changed the rules a little bit, we will be hosting only a single session. We'll probably use the same format as we did in San Diego. That basically means that we will open the floor for people to bring up questions, discussions, ideas. Since that is recorded, we can all then look in through those. But that at the same time gives us the ability to meet one another and answer the questions that people might have around the SIG CLI overall, or the past decisions, future directions. Finally, we had a configuration brainstorm session earlier this week. If you've seen announcements from Phil from last week, I linked both the message that was sent out to the Kubernetes SIG CLI, as well as the agenda and meeting notes from that meeting. If you're interested in participating, please sync with Phil. If I remember correctly, he was thinking about setting up another event like that one in the near future. Basically, it was entirely devoted to discussing how we can configure and work with the kube resources, specifically targeted at the customized users. Or if you have any ideas that you would want to see covered, I'm pretty sure that other SIG CLI members could appreciate that input. Sean, do you have any other announcements that I missed?
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay, cool. If that's the case, let's then move on to the main topics. Tyler Kellen, if I remember your name properly, you're here? I don't see him on the participants list. So, okay, I'm gonna throw this in probably for the next time, or maybe if he shows up a little bit later.
Hey, Marty.
Yeah?
This is Jingfa. We discussed this issue in the brainstorming session last Friday.
Okay, so that was covered and we don't have to go through it?
I think so, yes. We'll document the breaking use cases for VARs.
Okay. Okay, so maybe worth a note. Okay. Good.
Hey, Monte. The
Yeah.
whole issue is, Monte, this is Jeff. The whole issue is documented in 2052. You could link to that from the notes.
The issue 2052.
Yeah, that's about VARs and about the situations where it works and doesn't work. And we suggested in that issue that Tyler own removing VARs and customize if he wants to take it on. So that would require writing some sort of short Kepler document describing how to deprecate things.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Let me quickly
Cool.
link that
Thanks.
one. Sure. Okay. Perfect. With that, we can then move to the next topic. Julian and Antoine with kubectl dry run to beta and kubectl diff.
Hi, yeah, so I don't think Julian is here, so I'm gonna make it. It's gonna be brief. We just want to say that everything's moving along for dry run. We have a pull request that does what we talked about during the meeting and in the CAP. It's mostly reviewed. We have a failing test right now, but everything should be good very soon. We have another person helping us with the documentation for diff and dry run because we need to change all the documentations for dry run. So we need to go through every single website that we own that says dry run to replace with -- dry run client. So that's quite a few changes. If anybody wants to help, we would like the help. And that's about what I have to say.
And that basically applies to both dry run and diff.
So diff, we don't have a lot of documentation since it's not as old. It's mostly since the -- dry run without an argument is being deprecated now. We need to change that. And this is, I would expect, everywhere.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's going quick. That's good. So the next one is Lee with kubectl debug. And Lee, take it away from here.
Okay, so I just missed a couple of meetings and wanted to check in. I reviewed the video, but we'll check in about kubectl debug, planning on doing the implementation for alpha in 118. Wanted to see if there's any additional feedback before marking the KEP as implementable. I saw there was a little discussion about whether this should be in kubectl or customize. But I don't think it was addressed. I don't think a decision was made. Is that right?
I think we can go. The discussion that we had was with regards to within customize, you could have a faster iterations, whereas the current, at least, kubectl is tightly coupled with the Kubernetes release cycles, which is every quarter. So I personally, the fact that we want to have it as a regular command, I would still go with Kubernetes and start bringing awareness to the users that this is the command that will be there. Eventually, newer versions, we can think of how to provide users with newer versions. But yeah, Sean is also agreeing that putting it into kubectl would make sense. I mean,
I had planned on. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, I looked through your CAP earlier today, and basically, unless there's some hard objections that anyone wants to make with regards to kubectl debug, I want to merge the CAP right after this meeting, or a little bit later, but basically today. And I'm not saying it's like completely 100% done CAP as is, but I think since we're introducing an alpha command, it doesn't have to be fully 100% sure the way we envision this being in the long run. I'm pretty sure that we will iterate over the command, how it works, gather feedback from users, and improve as we go before we do a final GA of that command. So I think the current cap nicely covers the basic use cases, several workflows that both Lee and myself thought of, and other people that were also reviewing the cap. So unless I'm going to hear a strong objections, the cap is going to be merged within the next few hours. Okay, hearing none, and that's the case. I think we can start with implementation. I'm not 100% sure. I looked shortly through it, whether we have alpha commands. I remember there was a place like this in kubectl, but I'm not 100% sure. But I just want to make sure that when we are introducing those alpha commands, so that people are aware that this is an alpha command, and that we don't guarantee this being stable for at least next or 2 releases until we decide to move it further.
Okay. Yeah, I had talked with Phil a long time ago about adding that alpha command. As far as I know, it's still there. I had planned on using that. I didn't address that in the KEP because it sort of hurts readability, I think. This ties in well with my other question is that someone drove by and said I needed to go ahead and fill out the testing plan. I'm not sure exactly what that would look like for CLI changes, but I thought it would be reasonable just to write basically what you just said, that we will put this under an alpha subcommand so that's very clear that it's in testing and we'll be doing real world testing. And then just a personal note for me, I expect this feature to take several releases before we would even consider a beta.
Yeah, that's pretty much my take on it as well. So even though we will be creating some tests covering the functionality, putting hard requirements with regards to how this should be tested doesn't seem right, because we might and we most probably will change the functionality over the course if we find that whatever we thought at this point in time is just ridiculous or requires a great amount of user input, manual intervention, whatever. We will try to simplify the use cases and improve the user experience so it is better. So yeah, as long as we just need to make sure that this is obvious for users that this is an alpha command. If that is covered, yeah, I don't have any doubts that we should be good with this.
Okay, sounds great. Sounds like we're ready to move forward. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Okay, so last minute call for any other topics that people want to bring up. Okay, hearing none. So let's move on to the stand-ups. And I see that Sean is putting together his updates. I'll let him speak.
I just wanted to let you guys know that the Kubernetes Apply refactor merged. And again, it didn't change any functionality. It was just our first pass at trying to clean stuff up. It probably did too much, to be honest. Now that I got the feedback that I got, as well as my own, looking back on what I did, I probably did too much in that one, and in the future would probably try to a smaller scope just for safety's sake. But it hopefully it has reorganized it and made it easier to not only to understand, but I think that it's significantly easier to test. So I didn't add extra test coverage, but that is significantly easier now that things have been organized better. And so I'm going to eventually go back and just add straight test coverage to make sure that to increase the our coverage in that. That's all I've got.
Okay, thanks, Sean. I see Ahmed is typing something about crew, so I'll let him speak now.
Okay, so yeah, I'll chime in. So one thing which crew is always struggling is that we don't know how plugin adoption is and how many people are actually using plugins. And for that, we built a little tool which basically helps us track how many plugins there are. So for that, I wanted to share my screen, but I don't know which window it is.
Okay, we see your agenda currently.
The agenda, do you now see the plugin stats?
Nope, still agenda.
Okay, then I need to stop this and probably do that. Okay, can you see the something different now?
Web browser. With kubectl plugin manager stats.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So so what we started to do is we have a basically a cron job which runs on Cloud Run, and it scrapes all the GitHub's download statistics from all the plugins we have in the crew index. By the way, the number has increased to 75 plugins, so ever growing. Yesterday it was 2 more plugins submitted, so it's there is more plugins are being submitted. And all right, so yeah, this tool scrapes the download statistics from GitHub. We need to do that because GitHub doesn't only provides the total number of downloads, and we really want to have the downloads over time. So for example, here you see the total downloads of crew for different versions, and also with a nicer graph. So for example, so this shows that our latest version 3.3 now really has taken off, and the others are basically not downloaded much anymore. There are a few downloads, but we don't know why. And so this is the most important thing for us, because I mean, basically we are working on crew, but there are also plugin statistics for individual plugins. So one overview for all the plugins, which you can look into, and of course for individual plugins, like for the crew plugin. Yeah, and so we want to release this at some point. It's not completely ready yet, so there are a few issues, but I think this will be a great tool to track plugin success as well. And if you want to that I show you some details, then just ask. Maybe Ahmed also has something to add.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's it from our side.
Cool, that looks nice. Awesome work, thanks. Does anyone else have any updates on their sub-projects? Maybe Customize or Koi have anything to add? Okay, hearing none, so I assume there's no updates on those from those projects at this point in time. Okay, so I think with this, we can close the main part of the meeting. Eddie, can I pass you the baton, and can you take it over from for the bug scrub from here?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
So the way we tackled bug scrub last time we did it, it doesn't seem like a way that we'll be able to get through 130 open issues. I still want to propose the idea of having a maybe even a one-off, like heads down. We all focus on GitHub issues, go through and triage and close all the ones we can. What are your thoughts on that? I know you all are hesitant to add more meetings to your calendar.
I'm not saying yes or no at this point in time yet. But I think we could start with, I don't know, 1-2 meetings to go through, I don't know, a bigger chunk at least to do the initial scrub, and then we can repeat that. I'm not sure that I would want to do it on a bi-weekly basis like we do the SIG CLI, but maybe something along once a month or something like that, where we could chuckle the bigger load and at least, I don't know, somehow try to bucket those. And I see that Sean is plus wanting to definitely do one-offs. It could be a good start.
Yeah, I think I think even just one meeting is great. I think honestly, if we can tackle the brunt of these, most of these have been open for a while. And if we can like bust down the numbers in like 1 or 2 meetings, like probably, won't have to do it as often or recurring, whatever. But like, yeah, there's 128 open right now. And like, I'm sure a good chunk of these are just like, quick triage and close or something.
Aside from the tackling the bugs, do you think it will be beneficial for us to, I don't know, somehow bucket the bugs? I know that SIG apps, they have a project board, and we can get one easily where we could figure out the most painful issues that we would just work on during release, so that when we were planning a work for a particular release, let's say currently it's 118, we would figure out, I don't know, 10 issues, and we would try to find volunteers to get them done within the 118. Would something like that also be beneficial?
Yeah, I think that's so how I've done open source bug scrubs in the past is someone literally just shares their screen and we go issue by issue, just talking through it. You spend probably like 30 to 60 seconds per issue. And then, someone can volunteer to take it if it's one we think needs some like actual attention. Otherwise, like I said, a lot of these I really just think are, a little education could get it closed on the user's behalf.
Okay, so let's propose this. Let's have one bug scrub next Wednesday. Can I ask you to send out an invite to all of to SIG CLI the same time as we are having SIG CLI next Wednesday? We would have the meeting that will be entirely focused on scrubbing the bugs. And can I throw at you the preparation for that?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that on.
Okay, if that's the case and nobody objects, that would be pretty awesome. And I would like to see folks that want to have and show up during the next week's meeting, and let's see how this will go, how frequently we would want to go with this, how our velocity will be with tackling those. Cool. Yeah. definitely. Let's do it next week, and let's get this ball rolling. Okay. Does anyone else have any other topics, issues, discussions that they want to bring up? Hearing none, if that's the case, then I'm gonna thank you all for the wonderful 30 minutes that I got a chance to spend with you, and see you in 1 week during the bug scrub. Thank you all. Bye.